What does it take to make a man regret his words? Not insults thrown in passing, not claims made in ignorance, but the kind that change lives forever, the kind that echo through time and return with the force of destiny. Gene stands at the edge of the training hall, 22 years old, shoulders squared against the weight of expectations, the newest instructor at Golden Dragon Academy, his black belt tied, with practiced precision, calloused hands hanging loose at his sides, eyes scanning the students. With quiet attention, 5 years of dedicated training, 3 national championships, one dream to preserve ancient wisdom in a world obsessed with the new, countless bruises earned in pursuit of perfection, thousands of repetitions until movements became instinct, the way of Wing Chun flowing through his veins. This dojo has stood for 7 decades, walls adorned with scrolls of calligraphy, floor polished by generations of bare feet, the scent of sandalwood incense lingering in corners, photographs of grandmasters in faded frames, wooden training dummies bearing the scars of decades, a sanctuary of tradition in a city that worships progress. Master Chen watches from his office, 76 years carved into his face, eyes that have seen the art form evolve, hands that have guided thousands, a spine still straight despite the weight of years, voice softer now, but carrying authority earned through sacrifice, the third-generation keeper of knowledge, almost forgotten. He studies Gene with quiet approval. The boy has talent not just in form, but in spirit, the way he bows before entering, the gentleness with which he corrects the children, his patience with beginners struggling to find balance, the fire that burns when he practices alone at dawn. Today, the Academy hosts its annual exhibition. Parents and prospective students fill the benches, cameras raised to capture every movement, whispers of anticipation, children fidgeting in their crisp, white uniforms, seniors demonstrating with the confidence of experience, a community bound by respect and shared discipline. Gene leads the intermediate students through their forms, each movement flowing like water, power restrained, but evident discipline made beautiful, hands striking with precision, feet pivoting with perfect timing, bodies moving as one unified force. The youngest students watch with wide eyes, seeing their future selves in the display, the path ahead illuminated by example, dreams taking shape in impressionable minds. Among the observers sits Victor Reeves, director of New Edge Combat Center across town, arms crossed over his designer polo, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth, expensive watch glinting under fluorescent lights, phone recording everything with calculating purpose, a businessman first. Fighter second, his facility gleams with chrome and glass, mixed martial arts champions on giant posters, high-intensity workouts to pounding music, promises of practical self-defense for the modern world, protein shakes sold at premium prices, membership contracts with automatic renewals, efficiency and results the only metrics that matter. Membership has tripled in 2 years, while traditional dojos struggle to stay relevant, to stay open at all 6 schools closed in this neighborhood alone. Cultural treasures reduced to vacant storefronts, masters now working security or teaching gym classes, heritage diluted with each passing season. The demonstration concludes, polite applause ripples through the room. Master Chen steps forward, voice soft but carrying to every corner, thanking parents for their trust, acknowledging students for their dedication, extending welcome to visitors with a formal bow. We honor tradition, not because it is old, but because it is tested through generations of refinement. Through challenges both physical and spiritual, these arts have survived because they work, because they transform more than just the body. Victor stands, clears his throat, all heads turn, the intrusion deliberate and calculated, impressive dance routine. But how does this help anyone in a real fight? When seconds matter, when there are no rules, when your life depends on immediate results, silence drops like a stone, the room temperature seems to plummet. Parents exchange glances, students shift uncomfortably. Gene feels heat rise to his face. Master Chun raises one hand slightly, a signal to remain calm, to remember their principles, to demonstrate restraint. Victor continues, all this bowing and memorizing patterns your students would last 10 seconds against one of mine. This is the digital age. Effectiveness is measurable. Combat is evolving. Your teaching history, not self-defense. He gestures to the man beside him, Cole Davis, 6'2", fight record 12-2, regional MMA champion, neck thick as a tree trunk, tattoos crawling up muscled forearms, eyes scanning the room with predatory confidence. I am offering a friendly Challenge one of yours against one of mine. Let's see if traditional martial arts have any place in 2025. Let's settle this question once and for all. Live streamed for everyone to judge. No hiding behind philosophy. The children look to their instructors. Confusion and worry in their eyes. Parents shift uncomfortably. Phones now recording this unplanned confrontation. The peaceful atmosphere, shattered tension, crackling like electricity. Master Chin remains perfectly still, speaks without raising his voice, decades of discipline evident in his composure. We do not fight for entertainment or to prove superiority. Our art exists to develop character, to preserve balance, to honor those who came before. Victor laughs. Of course you don't, because you can't, because deep down you know these methods were proven obsolete by science, by evolution, by results. He turns to the crowd. These methods were outdated 50 years ago. Bruce Lee himself abandoned traditional forms, created something effective. These people are selling fantasy, charging you for fairy tales when real protection requires modern approaches. Gene steps forward. Master Chin shakes his head, but it's too late. The challenge has been issued. Pride and principle now in conflict. I accept your challenge. The words hang in the air. Gene has broken protocol, spoken out of turn, responded to provocation, crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. What would you do when everything you believe in is called worthless? Victor's smile widens. Perfect. Tomorrow at noon at my facility. We'll stream it live. Bring your pajamas and magic poses. Let's give people a show they won't forget. He extends his hand. Gene does not take it. Instead, offers a formal bow. Centuries of tradition compressed into one gesture, a line drawn between worlds. The visitors begin to leave. Excited chatter about tomorrow's spectacle. Students gather around Gene, questions tumbling over each other, eyes wide with conflicting emotions, some worried, some thrilled, all understanding that something momentous has happened. Master Chun watches, face unreadable, then walks silently to his office, closes the door with deliberate gentleness. The soft click louder than a slam. The senior students disperse. The crowd resume training as if nothing has happened. Maintain order in the face of disruption, but their forms lack precision. Now concentration fractured by what's coming. Gene stands frozen, adrenaline fading, the weight of his decision settling onto his shoulders, not just his reputation, but the academy's, the traditions. Master Chin's legacy. Did I act out of ego? Out of pride? Have I betrayed everything I claim to represent? May approaches the academy's most dedicated student, 20 years old, 10 years of training etched into her movements. You had no choice. He came here to provoke, to use us as content to drive business to his synergy. Nods, but doesn't believe it. There's always a choice. He looks at the children still practicing basic stances, innocent of the politics, the economics, the clash of philosophies. What example have I set for them? Gene follows. Minutes later, knocks softly on Chin's office door. Enter the old master. Sits a wooden box open before him. Inside rests a faded yellow training uniform, carefully preserved. Threads worn at the edges, a small tear mended with meticulous stitches, the fabric yellowed with age. I apologize for my impulsiveness. Master, I acted without thinking, put my pride before our principles. Chin closes the box. Some lessons cannot be taught, only experienced. Some challenges cannot be declined without losing something greater. He traces the carving on the box lid, a dragon in flight, wings spread, eyes watching eternally. Before you face this challenge, you must understand what you're defending. It is not just our reputation, but a legacy, not just techniques, but a way of seeing the world. What would you do when a man spits on everything you've built? When he mocks not just you, but generations before you? When he tries to reduce a living tradition to a commodity, to entertainment, to content for his channel? Gene bows deeply. I will not disappoint you, but doubt creeps into his mind. Cole Davis, professional fighter, younger, stronger, with nothing to lose, everything to gain. Videos of his fights flood Jin's thoughts. Brutal efficiency, raw power, no restraint. Master Chen places the box back on its shelf behind glass. Among other treasures, photographs, medals, a pair of worn smooth wooden practice swords. Tomorrow will change everything, but neither man yet knows just how profound that change will be. After training, Gene stays behind alone in the empty hall, sweat beading on his forehead, breathing controlled, forms executed with precision. Again and again and again, the janitor watches from the doorway. Old Mr. Liang, 70 years of silent service, eyes that miss nothing, hands gnarled with arthritis, still working. Methodically, he says nothing, just nods, continues his work, sweeping in precise patterns, as if the broom were an extension of himself. Gene notices, wonders how long the old man has been there, what he has seen, what he knows outside the academy, the city. Pulses with indifference, traffic flowing, people hurrying past, unaware of the battle brewing, the principles at stake. Jin's phone buzzes, a notification. Victor has posted about the challenge, already thousands of views, comments flooding in, predictions, insults, mockery. The new Edge Combat Center website features the event prominently. Traditional versus modern. The ultimate test, a countdown timer, registration link for new members, promotional code. Jin turns off his phone, closes his eyes, centers himself, remembers why he began this journey, not for glory, not for validation, but because something ancient called. To something within him, a recognition, a resonance, a responsibility. Night falls. Jin returns to his small apartment, 3 blocks from the academy, walls lined with books on martial philosophy, floor clear, except for a simple futon, a shrine in the corner with a single candle. He kneels, meditates, seeks the stillness beyond thought, the clarity beyond emotion. Images intrude. Cole's fighters on social media, brutal takedowns, bloody victories, swagger and showmanship. Doubts multiply. Am I enough? Is what I know enough? Was Master Chen right to trust me? Am I defending tradition or exposing its weakness? Jin sleeps, fitfully dreams of failure, of letting everyone down, of the academy's doors closing forever. Morning comes too soon, light filtering through thin curtains. A new day, perhaps the last day of everything he's worked for. His phone shows dozens of messages, friends offering support, students asking questions, news outlets requesting comments, and one from Master Chen, simple, direct, profound. Remember why we train, not to defeat others, but to perfect ourselves. Jin dresses, black pants, white shirt, no uniform today, no rank, just the essence of what he's learned. He walks to the academy streets, quiet in the early morning, the weight of the coming hours heavy on his shoulders. What would you do to defend not just honor, but truth itself? How far would you go to protect not just a building, but a living heritage? Tomorrow is coming, and with it a reckoning that will echo for years to come. The video spreads like wildfire overnight, shared across platforms, commented on by thousands. Traditional martial arts exposed, the death of Kung Fu. Bruce Lee was right all along. Jin scrolls through comments with growing unease. So many voices, so many opinions. All from people who weren't there, who don't understand. Bruce Lee's name appears repeatedly, his journey from tradition to innovation, his criticism of rigid forms, his creation of Jeet Kune Do quoted, selectively weaponized against the very culture that shaped him. Footage of Lee demonstrating the 1-inch punch, his famous words about adapting, about discarding what doesn't work, all used to justify Victor's challenge. They forget that Lee never abandoned his roots, never dismissed the wisdom in tradition, only sought to build upon it, to evolve it, not replace it. Jin arrives at the academy early, the usual morning peace, disturbed reporters waiting outside, cameras raised. As he approaches, questions shouted over each other. He slips through the side entrance, finds several senior students already inside, practicing intensely, faces grim with determination. May approaches, shows him her phone, online betting odds heavily favor Cole, comments predicting Jin's humiliation, video compilations comparing Wing Chun to MMA, all edited to make traditional forms look ineffective, ritualistic, outdated. The door opens. Master Chen enters the room, falls silent. Everyone bows. He surveys the scene, notes the tension, the fear, the determination. Begin your morning training, as always, without deviation. Jin leads the warm-up, joints loosened systematically, muscles awakened, gradually breathing exercises to center the mind. 20 minutes of fundamentals, the foundation upon which everything else is built. Through the windows, the crowd outside grows, curious onlookers, more media, some former students, even competitors from other traditional schools united now in concern. Master Chen calls Jin to his office, closes the door, gestures to a chair. You must understand something about Bruce Lee, something Victor has twisted. He removes a book from his shelf, thumbs through dog-eared pages, finds what he's seeking. Lee wrote, "The classical man is just a bundle of routine, ideas, and tradition. When he acts, he is translating every living moment in terms of the old." Chen looks up. Victor quotes this often to justify his dismissal of what we do, but he leaves out what follows. Lee continued, "True observation begins when one sheds set patterns. And true freedom of expression occurs when one is beyond systems. Beyond systems, not without them." Lee mastered traditional forms before transcending them, understood the rules before breaking them, built upon foundation, not in absence of it. Jin nods, but doubts remain. Will this philosophical distinction matter today? Against Cole's raw power? Against a fighter trained to inflict maximum damage? Outside the office, students whisper senior members attempt to maintain decorum, but rumors spread, speculation grows. An online live stream shows the new Edge combat center already packed with spectators. Victor speaking to the camera, promising a demonstration of evolution of progress of reality versus fantasy. Cole warms up in the background, muscles rippling under tattooed skin, methodical, focused. A predator preparing to hunt at the academy. The morning session and students linger, unwilling to leave to miss this moment in their community's history. Gene showers, changes into fresh clothes, simple, functional, no emblems, no rank indicators, just a man about to face a challenge that represents something larger than himself. The local news van parks outside, reporters speaking into camera. A clash of philosophies that has drawn unexpected attention. A traditional martial arts instructor accepting a challenge from a modern, mixed martial arts fighter, some calling it a cultural showdown. Master Chun gathers the instructors, speaks quietly. Firmly, whatever happens today, remember who we are, what we represent, how we conduct ourselves. That is the true measure, not victory, not defeat, but how we face. Both the senior students form a protective circle around Gene, walk with him to the waiting van, shield him from cameras, from questions, from distractions. May touches his arm briefly, a gesture of support, of belief. Gene sits in the back seat, Master Chin beside him, silence between them, not uncomfortable, but filled with unspoken understanding. The janitor watches them leave, mop in hand, eyes following the van, something knowing in his gaze, something sad, something expectant. The drive takes 15 minutes, traffic heavier than usual, people drawn to spectacle, to conflict, to the promise of resolution. Gene closes his eyes, recalls his training, not just techniques, but principles, the philosophy behind the movements, the intention behind the forms. He remembers the story of Bruce Lee challenged by Wong Jackman, a legendary fight with disputed outcome. Different versions told by different sides, but one truth emerged. Confrontation forces evolution. The van arrives, the new Edge Combat Center looms, glass and steel, modern, imposing LED screens displaying the event. Cole's face, 10 feet tall. Jen's photo beside it, smaller, less defined. Tradition versus evolution. Cameras turn as they exit the van, microphones thrust forward, questions shouted. Gene walks forward, eyes fixed on the entrance. Master Chin a step behind, dignity in every movement inside. The space transforms from gym to arena, mats in the center, seating arranged around them, lights positioned for optimal video, sponsors, banners hanging from walls, energy drinks, protein supplements, betting apps. Victor greets them at the door, all smiles. For the cameras, all business underneath, glad you could make it, wouldn't want to disappoint the audience, they're hungry for some action. Master Chin bows slightly, we honor our commitments. Victor leads them to a preparation area, a small room off the main floor, bare except for benches, a water cooler, a clock on the wall. You have 30 minutes. Then we begin. Any rules you want to discuss? Gene looks to Master Chun, who speaks without hesitation. Traditional rules: no strikes to spine or back of head. No eye gouging, no groin strikes. Victory by submission or inability to continue. Victor smirks, fine by me. Cole won't need those anyway. He leaves, door closing behind him. Sounds of the gathering crowd filter through. Gene removes his jacket, begins gentle stretches, controlled breathing, finding center amid chaos. Master Chin sits, watches, then speaks softly. Do you know why Bruce Lee is remembered? Not for his movies, not for his physique, but for his understanding that true mastery comes from being formless, from adapting, from responding truthfully in each moment. Gene nods, but doubts crowd his mind. Images of Cole's victories flash before him, the power, the aggression, the ruthless efficiency. What if Victor is right? What if tradition has no place in the modern world? What if everything I've learned, everything I've taught is just an elaborate dance? The door opens, an assistant calls, 5 minutes. What would you do when doubt threatens to paralyze you? When the weight of legacy feels crushing? When you stand as representative of something greater than yourself? Gene rises, faces the door, Master Chin beside him. The moment of truth approaches, and with it a test not just of skill, but of faith itself. The arena falls silent as Gene enters, all eyes tracking his movement, cameras following every step. The hush of anticipation, of judgment held in suspension. Cole already stands on the mat, bouncing lightly on the balls of his feet, rotating his shoulders, neck cracking as he tilts his head, a predator sizing up prey. Gene walks barefoot, feels the texture of the mat, unfamiliar, springier than the wooden floors of the academy, designed for falls for impact for spectacle. Victor stands at the center, microphone in hand, voice amplified through speakers, filling every corner of the space. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this historic confrontation: tradition versus evolution, the past versus the future. Let's see what works when it matters. The crowd roars, phones raised to capture everything, live streams connecting to thousands more, comments scrolling faster than anyone could read. Gene scans the audience, sees his students, their families' faces tense with worry, with hope, with faith that might be misplaced. Master Chun sits cross-legged at the edge of the mat, eyes closed, hands resting on knees, a statue amid chaos. Cole approaches the center, extends his hand. Gene bows. Instead, the contrast, immediate, philosophical, fundamental. Victor continues 3 3-minute rounds, victory by submission or referee stoppage, clean fight, respect the tap. He steps back, the referee takes position, signals. Both fighters begin. Cole moves immediately, aggressive forward pressure, cutting off the mat, making it smaller, a predator cornering prey. Gene circles, maintains distance, hands positioned in Wing Chun guard, elbows close to body, rooted but mobile, eyes never leaving Cole's center line. The crowd grows restless, expecting immediate action. Blood in the water, not this careful assessment, this measured approach. Cole feints, tests, reactions, smirks at Jin's defensive adjustments, confidence growing with each second. Look at you dancing around, fight me for real. Gene maintains focus, letting the words pass through him, empty air, meaningless vibration. Cole lunges, a probing jab. Gene deflects, redirects, steps aside, economy of movement, minimum force, maximum effect. The pattern repeats, Cole pressing, Gene yielding, then controlling, not retreating, not advancing. Finding the middle path. 1 minute passes, the crowd grows restless, booing, calling for action, for blood, for resolution. Victor paces at the edge, face darkening. This isn't the spectacle he promised, the demonstration he needed. Cole's patience breaks. He charges, full commitment, a haymaker that would end the fight. Gene steps inside, deflects the force, uses Cole's momentum, sends him stumbling forward, off balance, vulnerable. The moment presents itself, a clear shot, a finishing blow. Gene hesitates, ethical training overriding tactical opportunity. Cole recovers, turns face flushed with embarrassment, with rage. The real fight begins. Cole attacks relentlessly, combination strikes, kicks, targeting knees, elbows, when close, raw aggression, technical skill beneath the fury. Gene defends, deflects, redirects, but gives ground, foot by foot, toward the edge of the mat, toward the boundary. The kick catches his thigh, pain flares, balance compromises for 1 crucial second. Cole seizes the opening, clinches, drives forward, takes Gene to the ground. The air leaves Jin's lungs in a rush, the impact stunning, disorienting. On the ground, Cole's world, his domain, years of wrestling, of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, of submission, grappling. Gene struggles, technique replacing instinct, remembering rarely used forms, ground principles from Wing Chun adapted for this moment, for this challenge. But Cole is too experienced, too strong, too prepared. He secures position, begins raining strikes, controlled but punishing. The referee watching closely, ready to stop if necessary. Gene covers, protects, survives, but cannot escape, cannot reverse. The first round ends, saved by the bell, a phrase from another combat sport, but appropriate now. Gene returns to his corner, to Master Chun, blood trickling from his nose, breath coming in controlled gasps, body already showing marks of combat. Cole raises his arms, plays to the crowd, victory assumed, just a matter of time. Master Chun offers water, says nothing, eyes conveying both concern and faith. Gene drinks, spits blood, wipes his face. I can't beat him on the ground. He's too strong, too experienced. There. Chun nods. Then where must you fight? Gene understands. The second round begins. Cole confident, moving forward, immediately seeking to repeat his success, to end this definitively. But Gene is different now, no longer defensive, no longer reactive. He advances, takes center mat, establishes his space, his domain. Cole seems surprised, expected the same pattern, the same eventual outcome, finds instead a transformed opponent. Gene's hands move differently, centerline strikes, chain punches, trapping hands. The principles of Wing Chun expressed fully, not as demonstration, but as combat application. Cole adjusts, returns to wrestling, attempts takedowns. Gene sidesteps, maintains balance, keeps the fight standing where his art was designed to excel. A minute passes, to the dynamic shifting. Cole breathing harder, frustration building, expected domination not materializing. Gene finds rhythm, timing, distance, the fear dissolving, replaced by clarity, by presence. A strike lands, then another, nothing dramatic, no cinematic impact, but precise, accumulating damage water, wearing away stone. The round ends more even, the crowd sensing the shift, the narrative, changing expectation, recalibrating. Jin returns to Chun, who offers only one word: remember. The final round begins. Cole charges, desperate, now pride on the line, reputation at stake. Jin meets him, not yielding, not retreating, center to center, principle against power. They exchange technical mastery, evident in both different approaches, different philosophies, equal commitment. A minute passes, fatigue is setting in for both fighters, form deteriorating, will ascending. Cole lands a heavy blow. Jin staggers, the crowd roars. Victor stands anticipating conclusion, vindication, but Jin recovers, finds balance, remembers, training thousands of hours, countless repetitions, muscle memory, deeper than conscious thought. What would you do when everything fails? When technique dissolves? When only spirit remains? In the quiet space between heartbeats, Jin remembers Bruce Lee's words, echo be water. My friend, formless, shapeless, adapting, flowing. He stops trying to win, stops thinking entirely, simply responds truthfully, spontaneously, present. In each microsecond, the fight transforms, no longer opponent against opponent, but movement against movement. Force meeting force, then yielding, then redirecting. Cole throws everything, every technique, every combination, desperation, mounting victory, slipping away. The final seconds approach, the crowd on their feet, cameras capturing every moment, history being written with each exchange. And then in one perfect moment, everything aligns. Cole overextends. Jin sees the opening, not created, not forced, simply there, waiting to be recognized. His response is instantaneous, not planned, not calculated, just true, a simple strike to the perfect target at the perfect angle with the perfect force. Cole falls, the arena goes silent, time suspended, reality recalibrating. The referee steps in, checks Cole, who cannot continue, raises Jin's hand. Victory declared not by domination, but by precision, by patience, by principle. What would you do when the impossible becomes possible? When doubt transforms into certainty? When faith is rewarded by truth? The silence lasts 3 heartbeats, then erupts into chaos. Cheers from Jin's students, shock from Cole's supporters, cameras flashing, phones recording. A moment crystallized forever. Jin helps Cole to his feet. No gloating, no celebration, just respect for a worthy opponent, for shared courage, for mutual test. Cole accepts the gesture. Dazed but dignified, professional beneath the persona, athlete beyond the image. Victor stands frozen, script shattered, narrative collapsed. The demonstration backfired, spectacle transformed into something unexpected, something authentic. Master Chun approaches, bows to Cole, to Victor, to the referee, to the audience, each gesture deliberate, each acknowledgement genuine. Jin follows his example, tradition honored not in victory, but in conduct and principle made visible through action. Reporters surge forward, questions shouted over each other. Jin raises his hands, asks for quiet, for respect, for perspective. This was not a contest between systems, but between individuals. All martial arts have value, all contain wisdom, all deserve respect. Cole nods, adds unexpectedly, he fought well, no tricks, no shortcuts, just skill and heart. I underestimated traditional training. That's on meth. Crowd murmurs, narrative shifting again, from spectacle to revelation, from confrontation to reconciliation. Victor steps forward, microphone still in hand, business instincts overriding personal disappointment, attempting to control the story, to salvage opportunity from defeat. A great demonstration of fighting spirit from both competitors. This is what martial arts is about: testing yourself, finding your limits, pushing beyond them. Jin bows, leaves the mat, follows Master Chun through the crowd, through congratulations, through questions, through the buzz of aftermath. Outside, the afternoon sun seems brighter, the air fresher, the world somehow different, transformed by what transpired. They drive back to the academy in silence. Jin processing, replaying moments, analyzing choices, finding peace with the outcome. Master Chun stares out the window, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips, satisfaction not in the victory, but in the journey, in the growth, in the truth revealed. The academy seems smaller, now more humble, but somehow more significant, its walls containing not just tradition, but living wisdom. Not static history, but dynamic truth. Students gather, eyes wide with admiration, with renewed faith, with questions about what they witnessed. Jin excuses himself, needing solitude, space to decompress, to reintegrate. He enters the empty training hall, Sits in the center cross-legged, breathing, slowly feeling each bruise, each abrasion, each mark of the test master. Chun enters silently, carrying the wooden box, places it beside Jean, sits opposite him. Now you are ready to understand. He opens the box. Removes the yellowed uniform, unfolds it carefully, reverently. This belonged to Lee Junfan, the man the world would come to know as Bruce Lee. He trained here for 3 months in 1963 before his journey to America. Jean stares, disbelieving the academy. Never claimed this connection, never advertised this history, never exploited this association. Chin continues. Lee was searching, then questioning tradition, testing boundaries, finding his own path. But he never dismissed the foundation, the core principles. Essential truths. He traces the fabric worn thin and places history, tangible legacy. Literal. It was 12 years old. My father was teaching. Then Lee was already controversial, already challenging conventions, already evolving. The uniform seems to hold the energy, the spirit, the quest for authentic expression, for truth beyond form. Why have you never told this story? Why keep this hidden? Chun folds the uniform carefully, hands moving with practiced precision. Truth is not in relics, not in associations, not in names, but in principles, in understanding, in personal discovery. He taught me something important, something I've tried to pass to you, to all my students. Chun closes his eyes, recalls the exact words spoken decades ago, still vibrant, still relevant. The martial arts are ultimately self-knowledge. Technical skill is only the vehicle, not the destination. Jean considers this, feels the weight of it, the truth beyond words, beyond techniques, beyond systems. Why show me now? Chun smiles. The time is right. The student is ready. The lesson can be received. He places the uniform back in the box, but doesn't close it, doesn't return it to its shelf. Tomorrow many will come seeking what they saw, the spectacle, the technique, the victory. But what will you show them? What will you teach them? What truth will you offer? Jean doesn't answer immediately, lets the question sink deeper, past intellect, into understanding, into wisdom. The academy phone rings. Chun rises to answer, returns moments later, face composed, but eyes twinkling. That was the 5th call. Requests for interviews, for demonstrations, for classes. The video has gone viral. Your name is trending. The academy website has crashed from traffic. Jean nods. Expected this, the double-edged sword of attention, of visibility, of spotlight. People seeking the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, chasing technique without principle, form without substance, results without journey. Master Chun reads his concern, places a hand on his shoulder. This, too, is opportunity to guide seekers toward truth, to transform curiosity into understanding, to honor tradition by making it relevant, by making it live. Outside the office, students still linger, excited chatter, phones showing replays, analysis, commentary, the fight viewed from angles Jean himself hasn't seen, moments he experienced. Now objectified, externalized, commodified. Mr. Liang mops nearby, seemingly oblivious, yet somehow central, his presence a reminder of humility, of service, of daily discipline. Beyond spotlight moments, Jean watches him, notices for the first time the calluses on his hands, the precision of his movements, the economy of his effort. Nothing wasted, nothing exaggerated, everything essential. Their eyes meet briefly, something passes between them, recognition, acknowledgement, respect. Between practitioners, though of different arts, what would you do when victory brings greater challenge than defeat? When attention tests character more than combat? When the real work begins after the applause fades? Jean returns to the training hall, begins his evening practice, not as celebration, not as performance, but as continuation, as recommitment, as return to fundamentals. The bruises will heal, the videos will fade from trending, the spectacle will be replaced by newer sensations. But something has changed, something permanent, something essential. Truth tested becomes truth embodied, principle challenged becomes principle strengthened, tradition questioned becomes tradition renewed. And the box sits open, its contents no longer secret, no longer hidden, ready to inspire, to teach, to connect past with future through the living present. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. 7 days past, the academy transformed, phone ringing constantly, email inbox overflowing, social media mentions unnumberable, the world suddenly interested in what had always been here. Jean maintains the training schedule, refuses to cancel classes, to prioritize interviews, to capitalize on fame, teaches the children's group at 4, the beginners at 5, the intermediates at 6. As always, but nothing is the same. New faces at every session, observers in the back, smartphones recording discreetly. Some seeking wisdom, most seeking spectacle, the viral moment in human form. Victor calls 3 times, leaves messages about opportunities, collaborations, cross-training events, revenue, sharing, brand partnerships, the language of commerce applied to tradition. Gene doesn't return the calls, not from spite, not from pride, but from clarity, from understanding what matters, what doesn't, what must be protected. Master Chen watches, guides, advises, but lets Gene navigate this new terrain, this unexpected consequence, this test, more subtle than combat, more dangerous than physical threat. On the 8th day, Victor arrives unannounced. During the advanced class, enters without removing shoes, without bowing, without acknowledging protocol. The students notice. First training falters, attention diverts, energy disrupted. Gene continues teaching, completes the form, finishes the explanation, only then turns to address the visitor. Victor, welcome to our academy. Please remove your shoes and wait in the reception area. Class will end in 20 minutes. Victor smiles, all business, all confidence restored, all setback recontextualized as opportunity. No need, I won't stay long, just wanted to drop this off personally. He extends an envelope, thick, official, corporate. Gene doesn't take it, doesn't move, doesn't engage the disruption. 20 minutes. Then we can talk. Victor's smile tightens, places the envelope on a bench, shrugs, gestures around the room. Nice place, traditional, authentic, could use some updating though, some modernization, some marketing. He leaves, footsteps echoing, presence lingering, disruption accomplished. Gene returns to teaching, but the moment is compromised, the focus fractured, the harmony broken. After class, students lingering longer than usual, curious about the visitor, the envelope, the interrupted flow. Gene opens it when alone, reads the proposal, 10 pages, legal language, corporate structure, joint venture, traditional evolution, enterprises, merchandising, seminars, online courses, content creation, revenue projections, market analysis. The last page, a personal note, handwritten, surprising in its directness. You proved your point. I respect that. Now, let's both profit before this moment passes. Strike while the iron is hot. Gene places the proposal in Master Chen's office, says nothing about it, continues with evening training, personal practice, forms and applications, mind settling, clarity returning. The next morning, local news vans outside again, reporters with microphones, cameras ready inside. Students arrive for the first class, more than usual, many new faces, phones already recording, live streams already active. Gene begins, as always, meditation, centering fundamentals, the foundation upon which everything rests. Halfway through, the door opens. Victor enters again, this time with entourage, Cole, 2 other fighters, a woman with a tablet, a man with a camera. Master Chen intercepts them, speaks quietly, firmly. They remain at the threshold, observing, recording, analyzing. Gene continues teaching, students distracted but trying to focus, energy scattered but slowly cohering, discipline tested but holding. After class, Chen approaches. Gene indicates the visitors, the inevitable confrontation, the necessary clarification. In his office, Victor sits without invitation, entourage standing behind him, support, protection, intimidation. Cole nods to Gene, respect, genuine fighter to fighter, beyond the business, beyond the brands. Victor speaks first. Did you read my proposal? Opportunity of a lifetime, leverage this moment, build something together, traditional wisdom, modern platform, best of both worlds. Gene listens, doesn't interrupt, doesn't react, lets the full pitch unfold, the vision articulated, the potential emphasized, the urgency underscored. When Victor finishes, expectant, confident, already planning next steps, next content, next revenue stream. Gene speaks quietly, thank you for your interest, for seeing value in what we do, but we must decline. Victor stares, disbelieving, calculations visible behind his eyes, adjusting approach, recalibrating, offer, name your price, what would it take? Everyone has a number. Gene shakes his head, not about money, not about terms, about purpose, about integrity, about responsibility. Chen speaks for the first time. We teach martial arts not as entertainment, not as content, but as path to self-knowledge, to discipline, to harmony. Victor's face hardens, opportunity, closing, potential, evaporating, market share, threatened. Find your choice. But understand this, I'm opening a traditional program at New Edge, bringing in a Sifu from China, the real deal, authentic lineage, documented history, with proper marketing, proper facilities, proper vision. He stands, team falling in behind him, united in purpose, in strategy, in execution. One more thing, I found something interesting about your academy, about its history. He nods to the woman, who hands him a folder, carefully prepared research, compiled, ammunition loaded. Your lease expires in 3 months. Building owner is considering options. Development company interested. Prime location, outdated usage, economic inefficiency. The threat, clear. Not just competition, but extinction. Not just challenge, but erasure. Cole looks uncomfortable, shifts weight, glances at Jean, at Chun, at the floor. Ethics conflicting with loyalty, principles with employment. Victor continues, relentless, calculating, determined. The video momentum won't last. Views already dropping. Algorithm already moving on. 15 minutes ticking away. But real estate is forever. Location is non-negotiable. Progress is inevitable. He places the folder on the desk next to the proposal. Options laid out. Choice forced. Decision demanded. Think about it. You have my number. 3 months goes quickly. They leave. Disruption complete. Threat delivered. Challenge issued. Not physical. Now not technique against technique, but vision against vision. Value against value. Future against future. Jean looks to Chun, who remains calm, centered, unshaken. The storm passes. The tree still stands. Roots deep, trunk solid, branches flexible, but the ground has shifted. The landscape altered. The environment more hostile, more challenging, more testing. Students return for afternoon classes, unaware of what transpired. Of threats made, of futures threatened. They train, they learn, they grow. The academy functioning as always. Purpose unchanged. Mission clear. Jean teaches with renewed focus, with deepened commitment, with clarified intention. Each movement precise, each correction specific, each principle illuminated. After final class, the academy empty, except for Jean and Master Chun and Mr. Liang cleaning silently. The three remaining connected by shared space, by shared purpose, by shared understanding. Jean speaks. First, we could lose everything. Chun nods, not dismissing the concern, not minimizing the threat, but contextualizing it, placing it in proper perspective. What is everything? This building? These walls? This floor? He gestures around them to the physical academy, the structure, the location, or this? He places his hand over his heart, then extends it outward to include Jean. Mr. Liang, the empty space where students stand, the invisible connections between all. Jean understands the academy is not the building, the tradition, not the location, the teaching, not dependent on address, on lease, on property rights, but still practical. Concerns remain. Logistics matter. Community needs gathering place. Training needs proper space. Tradition needs home. Mr. Liang stops mopping, listens openly now. No pretense of disinterest, no facade of disconnect. What would you do when what you've built is threatened? When what you believe is challenged not by fists, but by finances? When your opponent fights not with technique, but with contracts? The wooden box sits on its shelf. Bruce Lee's uniform inside, a reminder that tradition evolves, adapts, responds to challenges not by surrendering essence, but by expressing it in new forms. The academy lights dim. Evening settling over the city. 3 figures still inside. 3 generations, 3 perspectives, 1 tradition facing its greatest test. Morning comes. Jean arrives early, finds Master Chun already there, sitting in meditation, the wooden box beside him open. The yellowed uniform folded neatly, a letter resting on top. Paper aged, handwriting faded, but legible. Chun gestures. Jean sits, takes the letter, unfolds it, carefully reads words written decades ago in Bruce Lee's own hand. To Master Chun, long way. Thank you for your hospitality during my stay in your city. Our discussions have challenged my thinking and clarified my path. While I must follow my own way, I deeply respect the foundation you and your father have built here. True innovation comes not from rejection of tradition, but from understanding its essence beyond form. The academy represents something precious, knowledge passed from heart to heart, not just hand to hand. Whatever paths our arts take, this transmission remains sacred. That I leave this uniform as a reminder of our connection, of the roots that nourish even as the branches spread in new directions. With respect and gratitude, Lee Junfan. Jean looks up, questions forming, answers beginning to take shape. Chun speaks softly. My father kept this private, not as secret, but as personal truth, not for marketing, not for legitimacy, but as reminder. He touches the uniform fabric worn by history, by transformation, by evolution personified. Bruce understood something essential, that tradition is not static, not fixed, not rigid, but living, breathing, evolving. Jean considers this, the letter, the uniform, the connection. Never publicized, never exploited, never commodified. Why show me now? Chun smiles. The question known before asked, the answer prepared before needed, because now you understand its value, its proper place, its true meaning. He refolds the letter, places It back with the uniform closes the box, but doesn't return it to the shelf, keeps it between them, presents significant teaching still now. We must decide how to honor this legacy, how to face this challenge, how to preserve what matters while letting go of what doesn't. The morning passes, classes continue, students train, life proceeds, but underneath currents shift, decisions form, futures align. At noon, Victor calls again. Jean answers, listens, responds simply, we have made our decision, we would like to meet to discuss the way forward. Victor arrives at 3 alone, this time no entourage, no camera crew, no witnesses, just businessman, to teacher proposition, to response, future, to future. In Chen's office, the three sit, tea served, ceremony observed. Respect maintained, even in opposition, even in conflict, even in divergence. Victor speaks, first, have you reconsidered my offer? The joint venture, the expansion, the evolution of your tradition? Jean looks to Chun, who nods, permission granted, torch passed. Generation advancing, we have an alternative proposal. Jean places a folder on the desk, simpler than Victor's, fewer pages, less legal language, more direct intention. We wish to purchase the building. Victor blinks, surprised, expected capitulation or resistance. Not counteroffer, not initiative, not strategic response. With what capital? The academy barely covers costs, traditional martial arts, is niche market, limited growth potential, minimal scaling opportunity. Jean continues, we have a backer, an investor who understands value beyond quarterly returns, beyond viral metrics, beyond market share. Victor opens the folder, reviews the contents, face revealing nothing. Businessman assessing opportunity, threat, competition. Who? The door opens. Mr. Liang enters, no longer in janitor's clothes, but simple suit, well-tailored, understated quality, quiet dignity. Victor looks confused, then surprised, then calculating. Mr. Liang bows slightly, speaks for the first time, voice soft, but clear, authority earned through decades, through success, through wisdom. I believe we have not been properly introduced. Liang Weiting, founder of Eastern Horizon Investments. Recognition dawns on Victor's face, the name known in business circles, in real estate development, in cultural preservation projects, wealth, accumulated influence, established power, wielded quietly. Mr. Liang continues, I began as student here 55 years ago under Master Chen's father. The lessons shaped my approach to business, to life, to success. He places a hand on Chen's shoulder, old friends connected by history, by shared values, by mutual respect. I have purchased the building and surrounding properties. They will be developed as martial arts cultural center, as living museum, as teaching academy, traditional wisdom, modern context, authentic purpose. Victor processes this calculations. Visible adjustments made, opportunities reassessed. I see interesting development. Perhaps we can still collaborate, cross-promotion, content sharing, audience exchange. Jean shakes his head, not rejection, but clarification, not opposition, but distinction. We will continue teaching as we always have. Those who seek us will find us. Those who need us will come. The door remains open, the requirements unchanged, the path unaltered. Victor stands, defeat acknowledged, not in anger, not in resentment, but in business calculus, in cost-benefit analysis, in strategic repositioning. I underestimated you. All of you won't make that mistake again. He extends his hand. Jean takes it, firm handshake, mutual recognition, respect between different paths, different approaches, different purposes. As Victor leaves, Cole enters, training bag over shoulder, unexpected presence, unscheduled arrival, unplanned intersection. He nods to Victor, acknowledgement between employee and employer, between fighter and promoter, between past and future. Victor pauses, question unasked, but evident loyalty, tested allegiance. Question. Cole speaks directly, I'd like to train here, one class, to learn, to understand, to experience. Victor's jaw tightens, then relaxes, business mind, processing, adapting, evolving. Your choice, your time, your journey. He leaves, door closing softly behind him, presence lingering, then fading, then gone. Cole turns to Jean, to Chen, to Mr. Liang bows formally, respect, genuine interest, authentic. If you'll have me, I'd like to learn, not to change systems, not to prove points, but to grow, to understand, to connect. Jean gestures to the changing room. Class begins in 15 minutes. Basic uniform provided, bare feet required, open mind essential. Cole nods, gratitude, evident humility, unexpected growth visible. As he changes, Jean turns to Chun and Mr. Liang, the three generations united, past, present, future aligned, tradition secured, not through resistance to change, but through authentic evolution. Mr. Liang speaks, the janitor role allowed me to observe, to assess, to understand the true value Here worth protecting, worth preserving, worth evolving. Chin smiles, old friend, still teaching, still learning, still growing. Jean bows to both gratitude beyond words, responsibility, accepted legacy. Continued. The afternoon class begins. Cole joins the beginners. No special treatment, no exceptions, no shortcuts. White belt tied, inexpertly stance, awkward but earnest attention complete. Jean leads the warm-up, the basics, the foundations, the principles that transcend styles, that connect traditions, that unite practitioners. Through the windows, sunlight streams, illuminating the training hall, the wooden floor, the simple walls, the practitioners. Moving in harmony, the wooden box sits open on the shelf. Bruce Lee's uniform, visible letter beside it. Connection, made public, not as marketing, not as legitimacy claim, but as honest acknowledgement of shared journey, of parallel paths, of unified purpose. What would you do when victory comes not through combat, but through conviction? When strength shows not in domination, but in adaptation? When tradition proves its value not in rigidity, but in resilience? The Academy continues. Classes flow one into another. Students learn, teachers guide, wisdom transmits from generation to generation, from heart to heart, from past to future, through the ever-present now. And outside the city continues. Lives intersect, paths diverge, and converge. Stories unfold. Each person center of their own journey, part of something larger, something continuing, something evolving, something enduring. 3 months pass. Seasons shift. The Academy transforms, not in purpose, not in principle, but in presence and permanence. In possibility, construction begins around the original building, preserving the training hall, the office, the entryway, the heart of practice, while expanding outward, creating space for more students, more classes, more transmission of knowledge. Mr. Leong oversees the project, personal involvement beyond investment, attention to detail beyond business, connection beyond contract, ensuring alignment with tradition, with intention, with integrity. Victor's New Edge Combat Center continues adapting its approach, adding traditional program as promised, finding balance between spectacle and substance, between business and teaching, between promotion and practice. Cole trains 3 times weekly at the Academy, beginning journey into traditional forms, bringing questions from modern fighting, creating dialogue between approaches, between systems, between philosophies. Jean teaches, as always, classes now fuller, waiting list implemented, quality prioritized over quantity, depth over breadth, substance over appearance. Master Chun observes, guides, advises, but increasingly steps back, allowing Jean to lead, to develop, to embody the tradition in his own way, making it live through his understanding, his expression, his evolution. One morning, Jean arrives to find unexpected visitors. 3 elderly men, formal attire, respectful demeanor, standing before the Academy, studying the building with knowing eyes. They bow as he approaches. Introductions made, representatives from the International Martial Arts Preservation Council here to verify, to document, to acknowledge. We have reviewed the materials, the letter, the uniform, the historical records. We wish to officially recognize this Academy as significant cultural heritage site, as authentic lineage holder, as living treasure. Jean invites them inside, offers tea, listens as they explain the documentation process, the verification completed, the recognition prepared. They present a certificate, calligraphy on rice paper, official seals, affixed recognition, formalized legacy acknowledged. But more importantly, they present a display case, museum quality, conservation grade, designed specifically for the uniform, the letter, the physical connections to Bruce Lee's journey, to martial arts evolution, to living tradition. Jean accepts with gratitude, with humility, with understanding of responsibility, not pride in association, but commitment to continuation, to authentic preservation, to meaningful evolution. The case is installed that afternoon in the newly expanded entry hall, visible to all who enter, not as marketing, not as claim to fame, but as honest acknowledgement of connection, of contribution, of continuity. Students gather to witness, ask questions, learn context, understand significance, not celebrity worship, but historical appreciation, cultural understanding, personal inspiration. Cole stands among them, no longer outsider, not yet insider, bridge between worlds, between approaches, between generations. He studies the uniform, the letter, the connection, made tangible, made visible, made relevant. I never knew this history, the connections between traditional and modern, the evolution rather than rejection, the building upon rather than replacing. Jean nods, many don't, the narrative simplified, commercialized. Polarized either traditional or modern, either old or new, either then or now, rather than continuous development, organic growth, natural evolution. The council representatives tour the academy, note the training methods, the teaching approaches, the balance maintained between preservation and adaptation, between honoring past and embracing present, between respecting roots and growing branches. They speak with Master Chen, elder to elders, generation to generation, wisdom, recognizing wisdom. The youngest representative, 70 years old, former champion, now historian, preservationist, connection to living past. This is what we seek to protect, not just techniques, not just forms, not just systems, but this transmission, this continuation, this living embodiment of principles. Chen agrees the forms change, the applications evolve, the expressions adapt, but the essence remains, the principles endure, the wisdom continues. That evening, special demonstration arranged, all students participating. All levels represented, all aspects of the tradition displayed, not as performance, but as practice, not as spectacle, but as sharing. The council members observe, take notes, record video, document with reverence, with appreciation, with understanding. Parents attend, community members gather, even Victor appears standing in the back, observing thoughtfully, business mind assessing, human spirit responding, martial artist recognizing value. The demonstration concludes, applause, genuine appreciation, authentic recognition, meaningful. The head councilman addresses all, voice carrying decades of practice, of study, of dedication. What we witness here is living heritage, not museum piece, not historical artifact, but breathing tradition, evolving wisdom, continuing journey. He gestures to the training hall, to the students, to the teachers, to the community gathered. This is how martial arts survive, not through rigidity, not through commercialization, but through authentic transmission, through meaningful practice, through genuine embodiment. Jean stands beside Master Chen, beside Mr. Liang. 3 generations, 3 expressions, 1 tradition, continuing, evolving, enduring. The following week, construction completes, the expanded academy unveiled, original structure preserved, its center, new spaces, extending organically, modern facilities, supporting traditional practice, technology, serving wisdom, present, honoring past, future, building on foundation. The display case holds prominent position. Bruce Lee's uniform, his letter, the physical connection, contextual information, added historical significance, explained cultural relevance, established, but more significantly, a wall dedicated to academy history, photographs of all generations, masters and students, teachers and practitioners, famous and unknown, each contributing, each participating, each essential to the whole, and among them a photograph of Victor and Jean after their public challenge, hands clasped, respect exchanged, different paths acknowledged, conflict transformed into catalyst, opposition into opportunity, challenge into growth. The official opening, community celebration, speeches, brief demonstration, meaningful practice, resuming quickly, teaching continuing immediately, purpose maintained amidst ceremony. Jean leads the first class in the expanded academy, basic forms, fundamental principles, essential practices, beginning where all journeys begin, with foundation, with core, with center. Students follow from youngest to oldest, from newest to most experienced, all beginning again, all practicing fundamentals, all reconnecting with essence. Through the windows, city life continues, traffic flows, people hurry past, some noticing, most not. The quiet persistence of tradition, the steady continuation of wisdom, the gentle evolution of practice. What would you do when recognition comes? When acknowledgement arrives? When validation manifests? Would you change? Would you expand? Would you remain true? The academy settles into new rhythm, more students, more classes, more opportunities for transmission, but same purpose, same principles, same essence. Victor and Jean meet monthly, professional exchange, knowledge sharing, mutual growth, competition transformed into collaboration, challenge into contribution, confrontation into conversation, Cole advances steadily, beginner becoming intermediate, modern fighter, incorporating traditional wisdom, bridge strengthening between approaches, between systems, between communities. Master Chun teaches less frequently, observes more often, guides more subtly, transition, natural, organic, appropriate, and it uniform remains in its case, preserved physically, but alive symbolically, connection to past, inspiration for present, foundation for future, not relic, not idol, not fetish, but reminder of journey, continuing, of wisdom, evolving, of tradition, living through each practitioner, through each practice, through each moment of presence. The academy stands more secure, now more established, more recognized, but still humble, still authentic, still dedicated to single purpose. The transformation of individuals through disciplined practice, through embodied wisdom, through living tradition. 2 years pass, seasons cycle, the academy flourishes not in size alone, not in numbers merely, but in depth and quality. In impact, Gene walks through the expanded facility early morning. Light filtering through new windows, training halls quiet before day, begins space holding energy of countless practices, countless moments of effort, of discovery, of transformation. He pauses at the display case. Bruce Lee's uniform, the letter now, joined by other artifacts, other connections, other touchpoints between past and present. A photograph from the viral fight, the certificate from the International Council, a calligraphy scroll gifted by Master Chin. Tradition made visible, history made tangible, legacy made accessible, but most significant, a simple wooden plaque recently installed, words carved by hand by Gene himself during months of patient work, of focused attention, of meditative practice. The true tradition is not the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire. Students arrive for morning class, the dedicated few who train at dawn, before work, before school, before daily demands, commitment visible in their presence, their consistency, their quiet determination. Among them Cole, no longer beginner, not yet advanced, journey, continuing path, unfolding understanding. Deepening, he bows upon entering natural, now not performance, not protocol merely, but embodied respect, genuine acknowledgement, authentic connection. Gene leads warm up, moving through fundamentals, basics that remain challenging, remain essential, remain transformative, no matter experience level, no matter years practiced, no matter achievements earned. The academy now houses 3 programs: traditional Wing Chun under Gene, classical Tai Chi under Master Chin, modern hybrid approach under Cole. Different paths, different expressions, different entries to same wisdom, not competing, not conflicting, not contradicting, but complementing, enriching, expanding understanding of martial principles, of human potential, of embodied wisdom. After morning class, Gene walks to Master Chin's office, their daily meeting. T shared challenges, discussed opportunities, considered wisdom transmitted not just in training, but in administration and leadership and stewardship of tradition. Chin sits by the window, 80 years. Now body showing age, spirit undimmed, mind clear, presence powerful, even in stillness, even in silence, even in simple being. Gene serves tea, ritual, familiar, meaningful, connecting generations, connecting moments, connecting traditions. Good news from yesterday. The outreach program at the community center, 20 new students, children who couldn't afford regular classes, now training twice weekly, fundamentals only, discipline primarily, character development essentially. Chin nods approval, evident priority. Confirmed alignment, acknowledged. This was always the purpose, beyond techniques, beyond systems, beyond styles, the development of human beings, the cultivation of character, the embodiment of principles. Gene sips tea, question forming, not new, but newly relevant, newly understood. Master, what truly matters? After all we've experienced, all we've built, all we've preserved, what remains essential? Chun smiles, question, expected answer, prepared, yet spontaneous, yet authentic, yet true to this moment. He sets down his cup, gestures to the academy, beyond the office, to the students training, to the community forming, to the tradition continuing, not the forms themselves, not the techniques precisely, not the systems exactly, but the transformation they enable. The awareness they develop, the harmony they create between body and mind, between individual and community, between moment and eternity. Gene nods, understanding deepening, not intellectual only, but embodied, experienced, lived in. Bruce Lee, his journey, his evolution, his challenge to tradition. Chin's eyes sparkle, the questions circling back to where they began, to what catalyzed their growth, their expansion, their evolution. He understood this too, that forms are vessels, techniques are vehicle, systems are maps, but the territory they describe, the destination they approach, the reality they indicate transcends all methods, all approaches, all styles. The afternoon brings special event, long planned, carefully prepared, deeply meaningful. Victor's New Edge Combat Center and Golden Dragon Academy hosting joint demonstration, public sharing, community celebration, different approaches, different expressions, same underlying principles. The expanded academy fills practitioners from both schools, community members, martial arts enthusiasts, the curious, the committed, the continuing. Gene and Victor stand together, no longer adversaries, not quite friends, but colleagues respectful, appreciative, connected by shared passion despite different expressions. Victor speaks first, welcoming all, explaining purpose, setting context. Today, we demonstrate not superiority, not competition, not opposition, but complementarity, different approaches to same questions, different paths to similar destinations, different expressions of shared principles. Jean continues, we honor all sincere practices, all dedicated journeys, all authentic expressions, while maintaining distinctions, preserving lineages, respecting traditions. The demonstration begins traditional forms from the Academy. Modern applications from New Age historical context provided practical relevance, shown connections, made explicit differences, acknowledged commonalities, celebrated. Master Chen observes from honored seat, Mr. Liang beside him, the elders watching. The continuation, the evolution, the living tradition. Cole demonstrates bridge section, moving between traditional and modern, showing connections, applications, translations between languages of movement, of force, of intention. Students from both schools training together, learning from each other, expanding understanding, deepening appreciation, growing beyond boundaries of style, of system, of identity. The event concludes not with competition, not with hierarchy, but with shared practice, all participants, all levels, all approaches, moving through fundamental form, ancient, in origin universal, in principle accessible, to Allah's practitioners, disperse conversations, continuing connections, forming community, strengthening. Jean returns to the display case, to Bruce Lee's uniform, to the letter, to the physical connection, with martial evolution, with questioning tradition, with preserving essence, while adapting expression. A young student approaches 10 years old, 6 months, training, eyes wide with curiosity, with wonder, with potential. Is it true he trained here? That Bruce Lee learned in this building? That his spirit continues in what we do? Jean considers carefully truth, multi-layered history, complex, meaning deeper than facts. He trained briefly with Master Chen's father. His physical presence here was limited, but his understanding of martial arts, evolution, of questioning tradition, respectfully, of preserving essence, while adapting form. This spirit continues, this wisdom remains, this approach endures. The child nods, processing, integrating, understanding at level appropriate to experience, to maturity, to journey stage. The Academy empties, evening approaches. Jean remains practicing alone as he did before, fame, before expansion, before recognition. Same movements, same attention, same intention, deepening rather than changing, refining rather than replacing, evolving rather than abandoning. Master Chun observes briefly, then leaves quietly. Teacher becoming witness, guide becoming observer, transmission continuing through presence, through practice, through embodied wisdom. What does it take to make a man regret his words? Not victory in combat, not public vindication, not proven superiority, but revelation of greater truth, recognition of shared journey, realization of common purpose. Jean completes his practice center hall, empty now except for history, for energy, for potential. He bows to the space, to the tradition, to the continuing journey. The Academy stands more than building, more than organization, more than system, a vessel for transformation, a vehicle for growth, a container for wisdom that transcends styles, techniques, forms. What would you do when challenged to your core? When what you value faces extinction? When what you believe confronts dismissal? Would you fight merely to win? Or would you demonstrate truth through living it? Would you preserve tradition by embodying its essence? Jean closes the Academy for the evening, lights, dimmed doors, secured space, resting until tomorrow's practice, tomorrow's effort, tomorrow's continuation. Outside the city continues, lives intersect, paths cross, stories unfold, and within one building a tradition breathes, not as relic, not as artifact, but as living wisdom, evolving practice, continuing journey. The circle completes only to begin again, as all true traditions do. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe.